Hello, everybody. I hope you're well. So, if you've been following my stuff, you will have seen that I recently put out a rather unusual Sleep Token cover of the song Alkaline, featuring the incredible Mr. ADHD drums on the drums. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the production of it. I'm going to be doing a separate segment, a separate video talking about the harmony, because I did mess with it quite a bit, and I think some of you might find that interesting. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the production, because again, there might be something in there that might give you some ideas or inspiration if you ever want to produce like your own material. Generally, when I set out to do those reimaginings, I kind of want to have a fine line between honoring the original and sometimes sort of really adapting it or sort of reimagining it according to my own taste. With this song, I leaned a little bit on the second direction, but I also wanted to keep some elements from the original. So, Alkaline is sort of a rather interesting love song, and for me, when I first heard it, I was quite really into the sort of the eeriness of it, the eerie element. This is something that I wanted to get across, but at the same time I thought the chorus was just so anthemic, and so I kind of wanted to maybe sing it in a little bit more like a straightforward big rock kind of way. And a few words on the collab. I've started recently inviting musicians that I really enjoy to take part of this, and generally whenever I set out to do this, and this is an important thing that you need to bear in mind as a producer is the level of input that you're gonna give to the other player that's coming to add their color and their sort of their identity to the song. For this one, and because ADHD is such an incredible drummer, my sort of instructions were rather limited. All I said is, look, let's keep when the big chorus comes, just make it like quite straightforward, quite sort of big, and then added some really spicy string and guitar unisons in the middle, so he could go crazy, and he did. And then just for the last guitar solo, just to be again sort of less busy. So that that this solo could kind of stand out. The thing that I really loved, and this is one of the reasons why I love to leave the playing field fairly open when I have guests on, is that ADHD drums, when he came in in an intimate way, which kind of led me to sort of rearrange a little bit the song to the part, and I really loved that. So without further ado, let's get into the project. And again, I'm not going to get into the harmony too much, but all I'm going to say is that I did reimagine this song to be in 7. This is something that I like, because I feel, again, if you have a song that's in 4 and you sort of reimagine the phrasing in 7, it adds an urgency that I sometimes find really welcome. So that's I'm not going to get into musical theory now. As I said, I'm going to do a separate video on that. So let's get into the project. So let's start with the first half of the introduction. Let's take a listen. She's not acid nor alkaline, caught between black and white, no quite either day or night. She's perfectly misaligned and caught up. So this is the first half of the introduction, and again, I want it to be very eerie. And from a vocal standpoint, the phrasing, it might not come across that way, but in my mind, I had like a jazzy kind of ballad. It's quite lazy, the phrasing. Not acid nor alkaline, caught between black and white. I wanted it to have that sort of quality. So I wanted it to be quite minimal, but also quite driving. So there's that sort of pedal arpeggio. Again, I'm going to talk about the chords in a separate video, but that's got a lot of like delay, and I'm also using this plugin. It's called Mondo Mod by Waves, which adds depth to it and like movement, and it makes it a little bit more trippy. It's very subtle. I'm gonna A/B it, and you will see that there's a little difference, but it's just enough to add that sort of texture that I want. Without and with. Very subtle, but when you have a minimal setting, especially, like, subtle things can make a huge difference. And I wanted something that will really emphasize like the offbeat. So it's down down, the upbeats. So added those sort of keys. I'm using a plugin by Opus. I think is it Steven Wilson's library. It's called Ghostwriter. Very nice. I think this is the Halo keys, which is I think it's probably inspired by the Porcupine Tree song Halo. So with the vocals, the keys add like a nice sort of point of like emphasis. She's not acid nor alkaline, caught between black and white, no quite. Again, very, very subtle. And the last element here is, and again, unfortunately, it's not a real singer. I haven't got access to any Tibetan singers, unfortunately, but there's a very subtle voice that works as a layer to really again add to the ambience and the vibe. So it comes on the second half. Black and white, no quiet, it's gonna come now. Day or night, she's perfectly misaligned. I'm caught up in her. And it sounds very dissonant, but in context, it kind of works rather nicely. And again, I've added the Mondo Mod plugin here. But this one is like a rotator. So again, it adds a little bit of depth to that section. So let's listen to it one more time. She's not acid nor alkaline, caught between black and white, no quite either day or night. She's perfectly misaligned. I'm caught up in her. And then the track builds up, and the drums come in, and again, as far as the drums went, I just received a stereo mix from adhdrums, and I just added a little bit of tiny bit of EQ and just put it on the verb chain. That's it. And I tend to like, whenever I do things that I want them to sound kind of live, I tend to like to use the same reverb. There's this beautiful reverb by East West Spaces too, which I love. So anyhow, so the drums there are coming in quite driving. Stickings on the snare. I hope you call them stickings. I always call them stickings, but and so this is where I wanted to have more of a rock vibe, but I love the ideas. Again, I love the ideas of having the bass be quite prominent and having like a sort of a leading part in a song. So I added this arpeggiation on the bass, which I think worked really well with the drums. This pound on the left. And oftentimes when it comes to production, you're going to go for a wall of sound, and I think sometimes and you kind of want to. You kind of want it to sound. I think Rick Rubin said it, like you want to hear like there's one guy playing the guitar, one person playing the bass, and oftentimes when things are not overlayered, that's when you really get that sense. I think he was talking about it with regards to the Chili Peppers, which is kind of truth. I get it, you know. So the guitar as well is doing like a very driving part to go with the drum kit, and that's panned on the other side. Again, I wanted it just to feel like there was three people, you know, jamming. And really having those on this kind of eighth note driving sort of feel. Da, 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 da. And the arpeggio, there's this sort of this arpeggio just carries on from the intro, and again it adds that drive and that cohesiveness, cohesion, with the previous part. And the only thing that I did is I added some marcato strings, some syncopated strings to really add to that punchiness, and the singing as well is just a little bit more aggressive, and at the same time, because of the eeriness, I did want it to be a little bit sort of discordant, you know, because again I feel like the song really speaks about someone who's completely captured by that other person. So let's have a listen. Her design, now misaligned. I'm caught up in her design, and how it connects to mine. I see in a different light the objects of my desire. So as you can hear, even with the singing, it's quite theatrical. I wanted to make it quite theatrical because I feel it sort of serves the section. So again, fairly minimal. No, you don't get that wall of sound. The wall of sound will come later, but I like the idea of having the instruments isolated, so you can kind of really hear that. Oh, there's a bass player playing here, a guitar player playing that way. And again, that is something that is, when you deal with a wall of sound, you really feel the wall, but it's not so much about the isolated components. So this is where the sort of more straightforward big anthemic chorus comes in. I did change the key because I wanted to like belt it out a little bit more. The original is still quite intimate, which is beautiful, but I kind of had a different idea. I wanted to have strings, and I wanted to have the voice sort of really be a little bit more driving. So let's take a listen, and I'm going to break down the thinking behind the production of that section. Go to the crazy section. So in terms of the thinking, so that section is a lot more about the wall of sound. So let's start with the drums, obviously, again playing a really, really solid beat, but what I loved that ADHD drums did here is the fill, and again, this is why I love giving players like in those kind of things like freedom, because then it was really cool, because then I built a little unison around it. This little cool little part. The bass, I wanted to keep it quite sparse. So if we listen to the bass here, it sort of doesn't exactly mirror the kick, but it does sort of follow that motif, but then it's kind of open because there's a lot of things happening. I just wanted to have that low note ringing. And in terms of tone, like there's quite a lot of top end, which I like. I think it helps the bass stand out, especially if you're going to have a situation where you're sort of playing and you got orchestra and other things and cellos and stuff that will also live in that range. So it's fairly straightforward, and then the guitars open, very open. And I used my beautiful Rascal. This is an amazing guitar. I'll show it to you real quick. This guitar was made for me by one of my dear students, Matt, and beautiful sounding act. So I used it for the rhythm section on this song, and it sounds fantastic. And again, it's about the wall and double track guitars, and it's more about space, and generally, like without getting too detail on the guitar, I like to use more open, and you can check a video I did on YouTube fairly recent talking about the rhythm section for your heart. I like to use harmonic structures that have distance. So I love the clarity and the width that they add to a mix. Not to say that they work every time, but I love what they give me in that kind of settings. So straightforward, right? And to add some meat, I like to use like synths, in a very subtle way. Oh, it's louder than I thought in the mix. It's still very open. Why is it open? Because I have an orchestra there now, and I have more movement in the orchestra, and I need it. I need that space, so things don't just get in sort of each other's way. The thing that I added, and this is something that I kind of picked up, I was fortunate to be touring with the Pineapple Thief for a couple of years, playing lead guitar. This is something Bruce did a lot, like using static arpeggios for songs. So I took that, and I had this arpeggio going throughout, and I love that because even though it's very subtle, it adds a lot of drive. So if I add that in the mix, you'll see how it sounds. same sort of tone as the intro arpeggio, but it adds that drive and that sort of, again, it adds that perspective into the production. If I take it out, it's... And of course we gotta put the orchestra in. And the orchestra has a lot of movement. Now I'm not a trained sort of arranger or anything like that. Most of the times, you know, when I write those parts, it's like a melody that'll come to my head, and I'll sing it, and then I'll sort of, you know, try to like just build around it. So I'm not very educated in that way. I just go by instinct and feel. But I wanted to have something that has movement, some nice hooks, but again, not too much, so that I wanted to not again get in the way of the most important thing. Well, I'm not saying that because I sang it, but you want to serve the vocal. That's the message. So little melodies. That section there, which is sort of slightly more Middle Eastern, Lawrence of Arabia kind of sounding. Although the guitars were very open, I wanted to have a moment or two where they sort of it really mirrored the string. So this is one of them. It's a nice little hook. And it's nice to have those moments because like they sort of they really add to the cohesiveness and tightness of an arrangement. And then of course, the vocals, just really belty sort of rock singing. And because of the harmony, which I changed, which I'm going to talk about in another video, again, the phrasing it starts a little bit more familiar, but then it kind of goes a little bit cuckoo. All that stuff it's again the variation on the melody is really a product of the harmony. So this is again much more of a wall of sound kind of approach, but again the subtleties like the guitar arpeggio and like the little string and guitar part where they play, the guitars sort of mirror the strings, like those are little things that really can add a lot to a production, to a picture. Subtle details, but that really sort of help add a lot of attitude and color. So let's move on to the next section. So this is where it gets a little bit fun. This is where it sort of sounds like, Sleep Token met, I don't know, Snarky Puppy or something. And so before I send this to adhdrums, that's his Instagram handle, by the way. I haven't just baptized him adhdrums. That's the channel. Do go check the guy out. Insane. I'll put links obviously in the video below. I knew what it's like, so I was like, I wanted to compose like a unison, and by unison I mean like a part where the strings and guitars play together, and then I wanted the drums to be more inside. Instead of playing like a groove, I wanted it to be like more in and respond and react to what was going on. Let's have a listen. Yeah, I mean, that whole section really started with composing the unison, which is played by staccato, strings, and guitar, which I recorded afterwards. I mean, I did send a guide, but then obviously I replayed everything because it would just feel better. Bass, it's busy, but it's very clear. Like it's kind of... It's out of the way of those unisons because it's not the role of the bass to play inside of them. And as far as the rest of the parts like strings and orchestra, strings and guitars, I cut them down in terms of movement and also range, so that I arranged for the strings to be sort of lower down. When there is a section where the priority is just so clear, right? This is about the unison, about letting the drums shine and the guitar and the unison to an extent as well. So I guess the way of dealing with that was to really take down the orchestra in terms of range, so it's not as high pitched. The guitars were quite simple to start with, but like again, just keeping them more open. Nothing like gets double, apart from the sections that had a bit more space, because I wanted it to be tighter. So if you listen here. And let's take a listen to the guitar solo. So for that section, again, I guess the brief towards the drums look like keep it quite straightforward, but like in the end, do something crazy fill wise, so I can then feed off that and double that on the guitar solo. So, but before that, again, the song there gets a little bit, because the drums get more straightforward. There's just a little bit more room, so the bass is more driving. And again, I like the gnarly top end on the bass. Guitars. The synth adds that meat, again, also very sustained. Now, as far as the orchestra goes, again, less top endy and slightly less movement, so that we really get to serve the guitar solo. One thing that I really liked, and this is something that I think I first sort of heard, I think Steve Vai do that, where he'd pick like little Glockenspiels and stuff like that to really emphasize like guitar parts. I can't quite place it, but this is a sound that when I got Vai in my head, because he's as far as guitar composers, he's somebody that really he was one of the guys that had a lot more theatrical sort of qualities about his compositions. So what I did is I used horns. Again, East-West is not real horns. One day. And what else? Oh, it's Glockenspiel. Yeah, I knew it was something German. And what else? Maybe it's not German. And Celesti, that's how you call them. To really double some of the phrase of the guitar solo. I thought that added a nice celebratory tone. Sometimes if you want to really emphasize something in a production, you got to add those things that they're not quite invisible. They are, but they're closer to not being there. But the fact that they're there still makes a difference. So, and yeah, the guitar solo. I mean, again, I wanted like starting melodic and then sort of going a bit nuts, because why not? And really try to play a little bit inside the kit. I mean, I don't over compose the solos. I sort of did half of that is kind of written, and half of it I'm jamming, and then what ends up happening is, because you get to jam the ideas you like a lot, that ends up shaping the solo. It starts quite anthemic and then it builds up. And then, and here I try to play a little bit inside the kit with my lines. And then opening up, and again, we've got this sort of thing, the doubling with the Glockenspiel and Celeste here. And in the finale, we got this Unison, which is coming out now, which is, again, it's what I kind of wanted, but I was like, you know what, ADHD drums can have some fun here, do whatever he wants, and I'll just double that. So, and that's what I did. So I was a bit late on the last note, but anyway, YOLO. I hope you get some ideas out of it. And again, I love doing those because it gives me a chance to take songs that I love and pay homage to artists that I really enjoy, as well as now sort of collaborating with musicians that are not like local to me. And it's just a nice way to just have some fun and reimagine beautiful music, and hopefully inject a fresh sort of perspective. So thank you very much. Go check out all my music. It's gonna be in links everywhere on bio. I'm not sure where you're gonna watch this, but recently, not very recently, but fairly recently released Crush Burn, which is one of my favorite songs I've written, and it comes with a sick music video. It was kind of like Hollywood on a budget, but we did it. It does look like Hollywood. So I'm really excited. So go out and check that out, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.